got Hacksaw Jim Duggan. We got the one-man gang. We got Nikolai, Volkoff. And the Killer Bees. So just before we get started, I am so sorry. And of course, I have it.
They don't know your name.
No offense, I feel a little bit before my time. And of course, the creator of the lovely tradition of the Royal Rumble, Patterson.
That's all I got.
And in celebration of 30 years of the Royal Rumble, we have a special cake made for you guys.
Don't put a wrestler next to a cake. I'll tell you right now. It'll taste different. That you should have a real good look at this cake. There's something important about this thing here. Came close.
Well, I want to think the most important thing is I created the World Rumble. That's okay. The first guy to win the Royal Rumble is sitting right here. So now, this is it. The first guy to win the Royal Rumble, you'll never forget that. Really. And the guy that created it, I'll never forget it either. All right? Thank you. You want to make my statement? What do you mean I was created it? I told the guy, they all told me to go to hell. No, we didn't want to do it. You know, all the guys are from Madonna. No, they're going to throw me over the top rope right away. No, what happened is that I always wanted to be creative. And one of these days I started thinking, you know, battle royal. And I said, somebody came up with that idea to have a battle royal, whether 10 guys or 15 guys, but somebody came up with the idea of the battle royal. I have no idea. I've asked every wrestlers and promoters in the business who came up with the idea of the battle royal. Do you know who started that, the battle royal? I have no idea either. Then I started thinking of the Royal Rumble, of how they would work. Every 2 minutes a guy comes in, and one gets thrown out, and so it made sense to me, it really did. You know, and I came up with the idea, and I had a meeting with Vince McMahon, and I gave him the idea of what I wanted to do, and he said, Pat, please, it's the shit. come on. I didn't even know the name for it either. I didn't know, you know, but I said, it's gonna work, it's gonna work. Every 2-minute buzzer, the wrestler runs in, it gets in the battle well, I mean, he gets in the fight. And it just goes on and on till about maybe 20 guys or 25 guys are involved and they get thrown out. And Vince, oh, please, that's not gonna work. He was really against it. So one night we had a meeting and we had to book a show here in this arena. And that's when I came up. I said, let's come up with the idea with the Royal Rumble. You and your goddamn Royal Rumble. He said, well, you do it. I said, okay, I'll do it by myself. And I did it by myself. And then we had a main event. I can't remember what the main event was on that card. And that became a hell of a success. All the boys liked it. They loved it. Because I remember, huh? Oh, geez. No, but it was funny because Vince did not want to do it. And that was supposed to be for an NBC show on television to have the Battle Royal. I said, no, it's not Battle Royal, it's the Royal Rumble. And Dick Ebersol was there. We're in a big meeting with him. And Vince tells Dick Ebersol, he says, Patterson's got an idea, and it's not going to work. It's going to be the shit. And Dick Ebersol says, well, what is it? I says, I want to do another Battle Royal. I want to do a Royal Rumble. What is a Royal Rumble? And I explain it. Every 2 minutes, a guy comes in, and Dick Ebersol went crazy. He said, my God, this is great for television. All right, you do it, Patterson. Game it that way. And the first winner, right here. Right here, man. That's right. You asked me that for a while. You just did. Last night or today, I said, how did you end up to win the goddamn Royal Rumble? I have no idea. You never won anything before that. I'm only joking. Okay. All right, so.
Yeah, the announcers wouldn't tell the crowd that the wrestlers were pre-drawn, so they're, you know, to keep total legitimacy, like we weren't picking and choosing who was going to go out next, but it was still a surprise that they weren't allowed to reveal the names, just to add the credibility.
Are you getting it? With us? He's over. I don't think this will get it.
So, at this point, I'm sure you don't want to hear me talk, so we'll open the floor to questions. If anybody's got questions for these legends sitting in front of me here. Yeah.
Hi there. Thanks. Hi there. This question is primarily for Pat Patterson, but would extend to everyone else if they're able to contribute. I sincerely need your help solving a bit of a long-standing mystery with respect to Bobby the Brain Heenan, who obviously passed away this month, and a family member of mine. I'm from Montreal originally. I've been watching the industry since I was younger. I mostly pay attention to the vaccines now. I was watching a documentary on Bobby Heenan some time back, and in there was some footage, no context or anything around it, but he was walking, Bobby Heenan, earlier in his career, and he was having a conversation with my uncle, Eddie Creechman. And, yeah. So my uncle, for anyone on the panel who's not familiar, Eddie the Brain Creechman, managed a couple of wrestlers from the 50s back to the 80s. Abdul the Butcher, the Sheik, Donnelly Jonathan, Great Samu. And I had only found out recently, there's not very much information online and none on YouTube, that apparently both he and Bobby the Brain worked together in WWA Indianapolis, in Dick the Bruce's territory. Eddie Creechman died when I was very young. He was extended family, and I was never able to reach out to Bobby Heenan when he was still alive. I'm just wondering if anyone has any information on if they had a personal or professional relationship, if Bobby had any opinions on it. It doesn't matter if you liked him or disliked him at all, but any thoughts whatsoever on that? And if there's any way to contact maybe the corporate office for the tape library area to maybe find some archival footage of them working together on the territory.
I used to like to jump on him and tickle him. Go crazy. One time, I had shoe polish on my fingers, years ago before you all black. And I come from the back and I go, he doesn't know he's done this pinching of like what I do almost every night. Now I got him, he has no idea. The bell rings, you gotta go in the ring, next match, let's go. Greaseman goes, wait a minute, I'm just gonna wipe my face a little bit. And he goes in the restroom and he looks in the mirror. Oh God, so much.
And talking about Bobby Heenan, Brian and I went to his funeral yesterday morning. And a lot of people don't realize this, but Bobby quit school after 8th grade to take care of his mom, Millie. So he used to work for Bruiser carrying jackets back and forth from the ring, and became very familiar with the talent that was in Indianapolis, and I think he also was involved a little bit with the Detroit office. But he was one of a kind, probably the greatest manager of all time, and a great friend of all of us. So.
You want to hear something rare? Bobby Heenan and I, when we traveled together, we always did some jokes or some really to get somebody upset. But Bobby Heenan always wanted to share a room with me. No problem. But what I had to do every night before we go to bed, I would be by the bed. He opened the door from the outside. He opened the door. He comes running in, and I had to get a hip toss. Boom! Right on the bed. All right, turn the lights on, go to bed. And now we're in bed, it's dark. Hey, tomorrow we gotta do this. We gotta do a joke with this guy. No, he's telling me the joke, I'm laughing, then he's laughing, then I'm telling him a joke. Now we're about 3 hours, we're still not sleeping. But we had so much fun. But anyway, I missed it. I had a lot of fun with Bobby Heenan, a hell of a guy. Yep.
I have a question for Mr. Patterson. Whose idea was it to start in 1993 where the Rumble winner got a title shot at WrestleMania?
It wasn't in '88.
How you did? Is that what you were asking? Who won the second Royal Rumble?
No, starting in 1993, the winner got a title shot at WrestleMania. Who came up with that idea?
Oh my God, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know what I did yesterday.
Oh, I didn't get a title shot, man.
Was it Ric Flair? You guys must know. Which guy?
Anybody else got a question?
Here anymore.
So, as professionals there, did you get a kick out of roughing up the refs that refed over your matches?
I was probably one of the few guys that, you know, actually got to mess with the referees. Actually on TV, I don't think anybody in the WWF at that time would bother referees. And, you know, supposedly I got a, you know, big fine and all that, you know, it was all whiz-zerk anyway, but yeah, I was a heel. I always messed with referees during a match, you know. I'd just give them a little shove here or there, you know. Baby faces couldn't really do it, you know. So I'd give them a shove, you know, get out of my way, or a lot of times, you know, during the match, if I was covering a guy, I'd tell him, you know, 1-2 kick out, referee has to go down the count. So I'd get right back on him. 1-2 kick out, right back on him. 1-2 kick out, referee would be blowed up like a son of a gun after a while. So, I love messing with referees all the time. And, you know, if you had a good referee, the match could be great. But if you had a bad referee, especially in a tag match, because the heels, we always, you know, when you're trying to get double up on somebody, you're trying to get that referee to turn away to go to the baby face. And, you know, if you got a referee that didn't like to get heat put on him, he wouldn't turn away. And I'm like, man, turn the other way so we got to get a little heat. We got to get some heat so I can choke this dude or do something, you know. And, man, that referee just would not turn away. He's like, I got that a lot in matches. Referees didn't want no heat put on them. So they were strictly babyface referees. Then you would have good ones that were heel referees that would do anything you want to do. But the referee was probably, I don't know, 75, maybe % of the match, because they had to carry the finish. Both, you know, they had to know what babyfaces had to do, what we had to do. There was many nights I just went totally blank. I couldn't remember finish or whatever. And the referee would buzz me, you know. They would tell me, you know, you got to do this or do that, you know. And then if I was going to do a spot, you know, like if I was working with Duggan, you know, and I'd tell the referee, tell him I'm going to get him a clothesline or something. The referee would go over there, clothesline, you know, just buzz him in his ear, you know, the clothesline, so Duggan would know, here comes the clothesline. So, you know, referees were very important, you know, so.
Most of you guys stayed at that beautiful hotel last night, did you? No, you did, you know. Because I was there, I came in late, they put me in a cheap hotel. I swear to God, it was horrible. God, then I didn't even want to go in the elevator. It scared me, you know, I'm gonna get stuck in the elevator. It was way down the road, dark. Jesus. If I would have been so cold, I would have stayed outside. But. So what happened, finally went to bed. Now, I'm in bed for about maybe a half an hour. There's a knock on the door. This girl knocked on my door for at least 20 minutes. She banged on the door, kicked on the door. God damn it. You know what I did? I got up and let her out. It was his wife.
Well, anyway, talking about Royal Rumble, history-wise, Duggan won it. I was next to the last in the ring. Duggan and I were the last two in the ring. Yeah. Then when we went back, you know, they say you draw a name randomly, but that's all BS. It's all, you know, we all know nowadays. But, you know, they come back and tell us, you know, you and Duggan will be the last two, and, you know, you got to put Duggan over. And I was like, what, are you crazy? I got to put this guy over. I should be the one winning it. I didn't say that, but anyway, Duggan and I, and then once you get the, you know, you get your numbers, and whoever's first, second, third, you know, you go and get up with your guys and figure out how you want to dump guys out or whatever, you know. So after the ring's full, they'll go, you know, we go 10 or 12 more minutes or 5 minutes, whatever, and then start eliminating people. And they let, you know, me and Duggan figured out our own finish for the thing at the end. He was flopping around like a dead fish, and he pulled the top rope on me as I charged him with a clothesline, and I took my little spectacular flying roll out of the ring, you know, and touched the floor. And Duggan was the big winner of the Royal Rumble match. And you know, and you know, and then as it wore on, now it's probably one of the biggest matches, you know, that they have for the years, the Royal Rumble. But you know, for me personally, because I was a big guy, I was like, please don't put me in there first, whatever you do, because they want you to stay, you know, 10 or 15 or 20 minutes. And man, I'd get in there with them guys, I just try to find me a corner. I'm trying to find a corner because I'm blowing up in there, you know. So, and then the thing is, you always say, okay, well, you run out there, they're gonna dump you right out. And I'm like, yeah. That was the way to go, because, you know, payday was the payday. You was gonna get paid no matter what, you know. It wasn't like if you went in first and stayed till last, you got a bigger paycheck. It didn't work that way. So I was, you know, when they told me you run out there and they all jump you and throw you out, I was happy as could be. But yeah, Pat, well, you know, he invented the Royal Rumble. It's an amazing thing, and you get that big residual every year when they do the Royal Rumble, don't you, from WWE? But anyway, that's a little behind the scenes of the Rumble, you know. I always thought, why didn't they, you know, take a camera backstage and have like the big rolly thing or something? I know they was keeping the numbers secret, but you could have, like, you know, showed a couple of guys picking out you know, show them pick out a number or something. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to announce the number, but look at it and go, or something, and walk away or something, you know. But they, you know, they never really did that. You should have come up with that idea, Pat. But the Rumble was, I mean, that was always one of the best pay-per-views I enjoyed was the Rumble. It was a good time, and like he said, we didn't get no title shot. All it was just, you win the Royal Rumble, right? He didn't even get a crown like the King of the Ring got a crown. We didn't even get it wasn't even like, you know, the old Battle Royals, you'd go in and, you know, the winner gets $10,000 or something. You know, or back in the old territory days like Memphis, you know, they'd have a Battle Royal, the winner gets $500. You know, that was your big payday, $500 if you win the Battle Royal. But you know, we didn't get anything, just the prestige of saying, oh, you won the Rumble. But you know, I never won it. I didn't even really. Well, as close as I ever got was that one right there. Even then, I was thinking I could dump him out right now. I could do it. What could they do? It was an accident. It was an accident, Pat. It was an accident. I dumped him out. It wasn't my fault. He lost his grip on the rope. I won.
As Gang tells that story, I tell folks I've had easier street fights and lost. I've been out there with Gang. He was working me over pretty good, to tell you the truth. Oh, that's his line. I didn't see you. Right. And you know, one of the great things about the Royal Rumble, though, also was that everybody had an entrance, and I think a lot of the folks liked the entrance, and who the next guy's coming out. And boom, when that guy come out, boy, they get a great pop. That's one of the, especially nowadays, the best part of the match is the entrance, right? But it was a great idea, and of course, Pat put it all together, and I was proud to be part of it, to win the first Royal Rumble. I mean, you know, I joke, I said, you know, I wasn't world champion, I wasn't tag team champion, I wasn't intercontinental champion. I was lucky to win a match, I'll tell you that. But the Royal Rumble, it was great to be out there. And then a lot of folks think it was extremely complicated. That many guys in the ring, you know, that going on. But actually, I thought it was one of the kind of easier ones. You knew who was going to go out before you. You knew who was going to put you out. So when you saw, if Nikolai was going to go out before me, when I went in there, I see Nick go out, I'd go find the guy who was going to put me out, and he put me out. So actually, even though it looked extremely complicated, I thought it was one of the easier matches to do. Unless you're in there with Gang. That was a shot, Pat. Well, him and that right now. But overall, yeah, a great opportunity, and of course, like I said, the biggest feather in my cap to win the first ever Royal Rumble. Even though I didn't get a title shot, it doesn't bother me.
As you see, I got a referee shirt because I am an independent referee. Yeah, I'll take it. And I did a show last night, so that's one of my voices hoarse. But I've been watching wrestling over 42 years now, and I love it. That's why I got into business. And I just want to thank each and every one of you and every one of the guys over the years. And the Jumpin' Jim Brunzell has been my favorite wrestler since 1977. So that first guy did that super high drop kick, and it's been. I got a lot of other favorites, but you're the one I hold on to from the AWA days. That's how far back I'm going. So I want to thank all of you.
First off, I want to thank you guys for your contribution. Every Saturday was just an awesome time just seeing you guys in action. A lot of you are journeymen, been through a lot of different territories, and without bias, can you say which you believe was the best territories where you learned the most? We learned about, in reading all the books, I read tons of them, with AWA and Mid-South. I'm almost finished your book, by the way, this week. It's awesome. Which do you think is the best territories that produced top talents?
Well, I'm sort of biased. I came out of the AWA Vern Gagne camp, and you look at that era from 1968 to 1984, 85. They had some of the top talent in the world. I can go through all the names, but one thing, I wrestled in the NWA in Kansas City and also in the Mid-Atlantic, in North and South Carolina, and for WWE. And the greatest thing about the AWA is you only work 12 to 16 times a month. So you had time to enjoy yourself, you made a good living, and it was a great area. I got spoiled. When we went to, well, Kansas City, you wrestled twice a night, 7 days a week. Charlotte, North Carolina, you wrestled every single day. And when Brian and I formed the Killer Bees in the WWE, 1985 through 1988, we averaged 27 days a month of wrestling, on the road every single day for 27 days. So it takes a toll on your body, your family life, everything else. So to me, the AWA was by far the best. In my group, in 1972, it was, Ric Flair, Ken Patera, Bob Ruggers, who broke his back in a plane crash in North Carolina, myself, Greg Gagne, Ken Patera, and the Khosrow Vaziri. So all of us did extremely well in the profession, except for Bob Rugger, who broke his back in that injury. And, you know, what can you say about Ric Flair? I mean, he was one of the greatest, and it took to wrestling like a tadpole. I mean, he was made for this business.
I would say that the AWA was definitely one of the people that produced the most talent, like you were asking. And I would say that Florida is equally as good. The 3 summers that I got stretched, Hiro Matsuda and the Briscoe brothers, and Pat would come down and work out with me sometime, Pat Patterson. I actually had my first match with Pat and Ivan Koloff, Skip Young and I. And so much talent came out of Florida. Just in my 3 summers was Hogan, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, and myself. Prior to that was Bob Orton Jr., Dick Slater, Mike Graham, Steve Kern. Golly, a lot of guys tried, like Razor Ramon tried, he left because the camp was very hard, just like AWA. Burns, similar to Calgary. A lot of good talent came out of Calgary. But in Florida, in the territory in Florida, you would do, Sunday was Eddie Graham Sports Arena, and every other week was a double shot on Sunday, so you would have Ocala in the afternoon at the High Life Hometown and Eddie Graham Sports Arena in Orlando. Monday was West Palm Beach for a spot show. Tuesday was always the Armory in Tampa. Wednesday we would do television, 2 tapings. Then if you didn't have money, you'd get in a car and drive to Miami. Wednesday night, if you could, you'd fly. About 50 bucks a piece, then 60 bucks a piece to rent a plane. You go to Miami. Thursday was Jacksonville. Friday was Fort Lauderdale or another spot show. Saturday was either Lakeland or St. Petersburg. So we were actually wrestling 10 times, up to 10 times a week. So you get a lot of wear and tear. I've got 300 stitches in this hand, zipper down my neck, all the way to back, 4 knee operations, finally a new knee, 4 concussions, squirted blood here on Ivana Trump in WrestleMania 4. When I got thrown out of Battle Royal, I got, I don't know how many stitches right there. I think those were probably the 3 best territories for starting talent.
You know what? Looking back at the old, we talk about different territories. You make good money, you know. For me, the best territory was San Francisco. You're home every night. There's no snow. But it's true. But you go to Minneapolis, yeah, you fly in a plane, and you're going through ice and snow to go to the territory. San Francisco was great. And besides that, when I left San Francisco, I went to Florida. And the first thing happened when I went to Florida, I said on TV, the fruits in California are better than the one in fucking Florida. Everybody got the message. For me, I thought it was a Mid-South. I mean, Mid-South was a great proving ground for wrestling, because not only did you learn how to wrestle, I mean, in ring, because a lot of second-generation guys, any of the second-generation guys, DiBiase, Jake the Snake, guys who grew up in the business are just a little more polished. You know, they understand a little bit better. I didn't start till I was 25, so I had a lot to learn, so working with Teddy and Jake really helped me a lot. But not only did you, because you wrestled, like we're talking, 10 times a week a lot, but also you learned to do your interviews. Bill Watts was a taskmaster. If you do an interview, he didn't like it, do it over. You didn't do one generic interview, you do a different interview for every city you would go to. So not only that, you'd learn how to wrestle, you learn how to talk on the microphone, and also you learn how to travel, which is a big part of our job. A lot of guys have all the physical attributes, can talk on the mic, but they can't handle the road. All your holidays, all your birthdays, you're on the road away from your family, so it's a tough job. So Mid-South was a great proving ground. Of course, WWF is what everybody remembers. I mean, I've been wrestling for 37 years now, and all anybody talks about is the WWF, not Mid-South, not even WWE, because I joke, I said the WWF, I wrestled Dusty, DiBiase, and Orton. In WWE, I wrestled Dusty's kid, DiBiase's kid, and Orton's kid. First I beat up the old man, then I beat up the kid. Hello!
Well, I got to go with Duggan. Mid-South probably was for me. I worked a lot of territories. I worked Texas, I worked Florida, I worked Mid-Atlantic. I worked a lot of time in Mid-South. Then it has changed to UWF later on. But Mid-South, for me, because that's basically, I came from the Paphos, they had that ICW in Kentucky. So I've been up there with Macho Man Randy Savage, Leaping Lanny, and his dad, Angelo, working for them. Then Bill Watts, Ernie Ladd came up there to, I guess, try me out. We had a couple matches, and he went back to Mid-South and told Bill, you might want to get this guy or whatever. Thank goodness. So they worked, got me down to Mid-South, and like Duggan said, I mean, you had to like traveling, and it wasn't like fancy planes and stuff. You get in your car and you're traveling the highways, and wasn't really interstate wise. It was back roads, through the swamps and everywhere else. But I'm a 20-year-old kid. To me, it is the greatest life in the world. That's what I dreamed of doing. Just the hardest part every night was getting in the ring with Duggan over here. But other than that, I was a heel, so he was lucky. He was a baby face. I was a heel. I come out of buildings, I'd have my windshield smashed. The fans would smash my windshield. I've had my tires cut on my vehicle sitting I park it at the arena. And I mean, just about every night in Louisiana, Mississippi, I would have to fight my way, I'd literally fight my way to get out of buildings, especially in New Orleans. It was really bad in New Orleans. They'd be waiting in the bushes out back and throw bottles at your vehicle, throw rocks at your vehicle and everything else. And the police basically, once they got you back to the dressing room, they just dump you off. They don't even care. So basically, to get to, what I would do, if I was I was main event that night in New Orleans, Louisiana, at the downtown auditorium, I would, have my wrestling gear. I'll take all my regular clothes and everything, put it in the bag, I put it in the vehicle. So at the end, the heel usually is, going to get beat. So I would, get beat, I'd roll out, the baby face is still doing whatever they're doing. Before the people even realize that I'm straight out the back door in my vehicle, and you had to go. If you didn't, you couldn't get out. They would literally block you in and want to basically really kill you. Because back in those days, it's not like now, everybody's internet smart, everybody has been told that it's all scripted and this and that. But in those days, the fans that were coming to the buildings, they honestly believed that, I almost killed Jim Duggan in Houston, Texas when I jammed his head into the post. That actually happened though. But what happened, we was in Houston, Texas, they were having a tournament for the championship belt. I wasn't invited, so I bashed in there. Hey, how can y'all have a tournament without one man gang? I can beat all you people. I can beat him every day of the week and twice on Sundays. So Duggan takes the fence. We start battling around. We go out to the ring. We get all bloodied up outside the ring. Cameras are there filming it. So I take Duggan up. I say, okay, I'm gonna post you. So I post him on the ring, and there's a bolt that goes through the ring post. It goes all the way out the back where they tighten stuff down, and I didn't see it. So Duggan's head smashed into that big old bolt thing sticking out, stuck in his head like that. It was literally almost, you could hear a pop when he pulled it off, and blood just gushed out of his head. I still beat him up after that. And then, Bill Watts, being Bill Watts, he took the cameras and made a big angle out of it. Hey, let's get the cameras, go in the back, film Duggan. So they took it, his head was swollen up like a big pumpkin or something, and Duggan still, he wrapped it up and went back out, for the tournament or whatever, but he filmed it and showed it on TV, and ended up being a pretty big angle for, myself and Duggan, made some good, couple of good bucks off of it, but Mid-South, that's just the way it was. Bill Watts, he would go out there, if you're going to use a chair, you use that chair, you better hit him with it, that was the thing, so that's just the way it was. And years later, when I went to WWF, it was pretty hard for me to switch styles, because I'd always been in that Southern style, Texas against the Von Erichs was basically a fight every night, so, I was pretty snug. I was, I wasn't hurting guys, but I'd lay them in there pretty snug. That's just the way I'd always been in the southern territories. That's just the way it was, when I worked for Dusty in Florida or whatever. That's just the way it was. And when I went to WWF, it was like totally opposite of that, And guys up there were like, man, don't touch me too hard. Don't hit me too hard. I'm like, wow, I had to work to get over that, really laying a forearm in or whatever it was, a chop or whatever, because them guys just didn't like it at all. So that was really hard for me, but I love the rough style. That's why always people say, who is your favorite opponent? It was Duggan, because Duggan had that rough style also. He had them big ham hock hands right there and knock you out. And when he hit you, it was a pretty good hit. We had we kind of knew with it. We knew with each other that what we could get away with. So I tell him, hit me upside the head or whatever. We had to, because that's what the fans believed what they were seeing. That everything went out there was real. It was pretty much really real. So. Yeah, exactly. Just the only thing that was basically at work was the finish. And let me tell you about Bill Watts' finishes. They were like, long as this table right here, he'll give you a finish. If it was a tag match, he had each spot laid out for everybody. If you had 4 guys in the tag team match, he was like, okay, you tag him in, he's gonna come in, he gets some heat on you, blah, 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 step by step by step by step. If you miss one step of that finish, when you come back from the ring, hey, you missed that one spot out there, what are you doing, by God? I gave you a finish, blah, blah, blah. But that was just, he was a taskmaster. That's just the way he was. And I can tell you another little Bill Watts story. Great person, Iron Mike Sharp. We were, I don't remember the building, but Iron Mike Sharp, he was always exercising, kept his body in great shape. So before the show, we'd get there early at the building, he'd put his trunks on or whatever, and get his little push-up bars and his towel and jump rope or whatever, and go off in the building somewhere and do his exercise. I mean, he would exercise for hours and hours, you know. So it come up match time, it's Iron Mike Sharp's match, and nobody can find him, you know. It's like Grizzly Smith was our agent. He's like, "Where's Iron Mike Sharp?" We were like, I'm not sure. And somebody said, "I think I see him at the top of the building, way at the top." So Grizz runs up there, and Iron Mike Sharp's up there still exercising, you know, doing his free squats or whatever. And Grizz is like, "Mike, you're supposed to do, the bell's ringing, you're in the ring." So he runs down, he runs out there and does his match, and then the next day we get a memo from Cowboy Bill Watts. Anybody that exercises at the building will be fined $5,000. Got anything, Nikolai? You've been in the business for a long time. You got any good stories or anything you can tell anybody? You got your cards with us? Show us the cards here.
When I was in business, I always believe it's better to give than receive. And I have a good partner, Alan Sheik. He was completely different person. Like Sheik, he liked to party. He liked to party, and well, he had a good heart. I remember we come one time from Los Angeles. We would have a late flight before a shut-eye flight in New York. And we was late.
Red-eye flight.
A red-eye flight, yeah. Was different. So anyway, we was going to the airport and people was asking us for autographs, especially kids. And I said, "Sorry, I'll give you next time, we have no time." He said, "Nikolai, you stupid son of a bitch. You have to sign for the kid." He opened up his bag and all the pictures out, signed for the kid. So he was a very good-hearted guy. And if I did whatever he did, I'd be dead right now, but he's still alive. And I love him for that, and I love him, I respect him, I love him. But I will tell you one last story about Sheik, but until I did the best. Just think about it. Sheik was a good amateur wrestler, and he loved to party, loved to drink, but he had a big heart for the people can do. Thank you.
Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. We'll be... Here. So I'm going to give these fine gentlemen a round of applause.